Well, a very warm good evening and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this very, very special live stream. My name's Paul Dakeyne. Thank you for joining us here today. We have got a very special show in front of us for the next 2 hours. This is the Vicious Pink Westview album celebration live stream, where we are celebrating the launch and success already of the brand new Vicious Pink Westview album. So this live stream is all about the celebration of that. We've got a fantastic show ahead of us. I want to welcome everybody checking in from the UK, from Europe, our friends over in the USA, and of course everywhere else in the globe, because I know that everybody who's joined us this evening and this afternoon or today are hardcore Vicious Pink fans. So thank you for joining us. I've got Brian in the studio with me from Vicious Pink, and we have Josie as well on video, and we'll be dialing her in with a bit of luck later on. So we have Brian and Josie from Vicious Pink with you tonight. So it's going to be an incredible show, some great music ahead. We're going to be playing all the tracks from the brand new Minimal Wave release, and it's lovely pink vinyl. You can get it on black as well, I believe, but pink, we've got pink in the studio today. So we'll be playing lots of tracks which are exclusive, world exclusives, new tracks, rarities and remasters, and maybe some surprises that Brian may or may not have brought with him. So let's hit straight into the music with one track from the Westview album. This is called Promises, and we'll get straight on with the show straight after this. Kind of feeling I was outside a French cafe drinking coffee and watching the Eiffel Tower there, Brian. Is that what the intention was with that track?
It was, yeah. Well, Jo's been part French as well.
Of course, yes, evidently, yeah. She does French very, very well, doesn't she?
Fluent.
Yeah. So, Brian, good evening.
Good evening.
And good afternoon, whichever part of the world you're in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
So, Brian from Vicious Pink is actually live. He's a real person, I can promise you. He's not a cardboard cutout. And we'll have Josie in on the chat. Josie, I think, is actually on the chat typing now, but we'll be dialing her in very soon anyway. Let me just change this camera around a bit there. There's a lot to talk about tonight and a lot to go through, so let's kick off with the next track. And obviously the Westview album is quite interesting because there are quite a few rarities on the album, aren't there, Brian? You know, you've not just demos.
Yeah, demos and kitchen table demos, as they were.
What's a kitchen table demo?
It's when you when you don't have a proper studio and you have a kitchen and a table and you set all your gear up on it.
I see. Well, it's the kitchen demo tables. So the track we're going to play from the Westview album on Minimal Wave Records USA, everybody, is called In the Swim. Can you tell us a little bit about In the Swim? And
yeah, it's a kind of the story of when you're growing up and you see people who are older and they're kind of the in crowd, and it's that sort of thing where you want to get into that mode, where you want to be with all the cool people, you know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah, that kind of thing, yeah.
With the cool kids, that's what it's all about.
Sort of thing, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent, okay.
Cool.
Cool, let's hear In the Swim demo from the Westview album. From the brand new Minimal Wave release, Pink Vinyl, that is In the Swim, the demo version. Another undiscovered gem there from Vicious Pink. Okay, one thing else to tell you guys about tonight's live stream. Brian, I believe you're going to be giving away quite a few downloads for your Bandcamp release of the Leeds Warehouse gig tonight.
Yeah, 6 free downloads, high quality WAV downloads, so...
Fantastic.
We've got questions.
Some questions. Are they difficult ones? You think everybody will have a chance of we've got good fans in tonight. They know their stuff.
Well, they might all get them right then.
They might do, yeah. We haven't quite figured out how we're going to be sorting out navigating the correct answers, but we'll figure that out during the show. But first of all, I just want to pop something into the live stream. A little message from a young lady called Josephine from Vicious Pink. Let's see what she's got to say to all.
Hi everyone, I'm sorry I'm not in the studios tonight, but I am in the chat. I am dancing along with you, and it's so nice that you're all there.
Thank you, Josie. Good evening to you. Josephine is actually in the chat. She's having a party at home at the moment to enjoy the live stream with her friends and family. So hi, Josie. Good evening from all of us here, and good afternoon. And so we'll look forward to dialing Josie in hopefully a bit later and having a chat with her. So that's great. Okay, moving on with the music. The next track up was actually my introduction to Vicious Pink, and that was on with My Private Tokyo, which is a track which was just seemed to land from another world, Brian. So can you just tell us a bit, why was this your first release, and where did it come from? A little bit of background on My Private Tokyo.
Well, there's been aliens and stuff. That's why it came from another world, But it's about all the Japanese technology that's coming. I had a Suzuki motorbike and a Yamaha and a Honda, and then I had a Sanyo record deck, and all that things, and obviously the keyboards and all that. And it's about a celebration of all the Japanese goods, I would say, that came to the country, including the cars that started coming then,
The technology and the culture.
That,
and the synthesizers as well, Brian.
Well, that's what I mean, all the synths, 303s and stuff like that.
Excellent, good. And the lyrical side of it, then, you and Josie just sort of smashed out the kind of around the theme and began to sort of expand on that?
Yeah, and I did that Tokyo voice with a little bit of effects on.
Excellent. Okay, now the secrets are coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to the track. Incredible first single. This is Vicious Pink Phenomena, as they were called.
Exactly.
Yeah, My Private Tokyo. Vicious Pink Phenomena, not just Vicious Pink. And one of the final masters, remastered actually, of their first single, and that was called My Private Tokyo. Want to say a big hi and a welcome to Veronica, actually, the head of Minimal Wave Records, your record label.
Yeah, hi Veronica.
Yes, and I think we might have a surprise or two.
Yeah, we've got a couple of
Veronica.
surprises for you, Veronica.
I wonder what that could be. Well, anyway, you can't be that interested, Veronica.
Guessing.
Anyway, so of course, yes, the Westview album is available now. It's a double album, pink vinyl and black vinyl, available from... the moderators will put the link in so you can actually visit everything to do with Vicious Pink, Instagram, socials, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, where to buy the album in the UK, EU and the US, and of course Minimal Wave themselves. So the moderators will put that in the chat if anybody wants to actually, look further into getting the album and discovering more about Vicious Pink. The next record, we're back on the kitchen sink demos, kitchen table demos, is that what we call them?
I think it's Roland Bassline, TR-606 drum machine, dramatics as well on this one.
Baby It's Too Late.
Yeah, and it's Juno 60 main keyboard.
Wow. Okay, for me, I'm just freaking out at all these things. I mean, anybody who's into production and synths and making music will be... Yes, I could just sit this guy... Well, I have sat him down for hours and quizzed him on his technology, but, that's just me being a geek. But anyway, so there you go. There's the synths that are involved in it. So a little... Any background on the writing side of it for Baby It's Too Late? Is it something that Josephine came up with, or you, for this track?
No, Josie came up with the lyrics, and I came up with the music.
Right, okay.
You'll have to ask Josie.
Well, we will be asking Josie some questions a bit later on. But anyway, so back to the demo side of it. And so this is Baby It's Too Late, Vicious Pink. Fantastic, really, really cool. As somebody typed into the chat, what a great rhythm there, Brian. Your drums were, I mean, for me as a dance music producer, they're always inspiring. You have great rhythm tracks that you have in the...
Yeah, I think it's from being a kid, always banging things. I didn't have a drum kit when I was a kid, but I made stuff out of rubbish, and bang that.
So it's a frustrated kid that's coming out, basically.
Tabletop,
with
whatever, you
dear.
just do demos on tables.
Okay, so this is the Westview celebration for the release of the album, the double album. It's kind of an album split between remastered classics and demos as well. But I think the next track up is probably the only track that we're going to be playing 3 versions of. The next version is the original. We're playing the demo a bit later on. And rumour has it you might have a new remix. So let's keep everybody's anticipation for that. But the next track for me, personally as a DJ, was a dance floor destroyer. You will know it as 8:15 to Nowhere. It did actually segue into Great Balls of Fire. Cool, nice one, Josie. Well done on that. But 8:15 to Nowhere transcended boundaries. It was massive in the States as an out-and-out club track. Yeah. And again, for me, it was like, what planet did this come from? I mean, just such an incredible piece of music. Any sort of instant memories about writing 8:15 to Nowhere?
Yeah, I was just experimenting with the Roland bass line, and
Roland bass line.
Yeah.
You wouldn't happen to have that with you, Brian, would you?
I think I've just... I've just made one.
Here's one he made earlier. This is the actual Roland bass line that you made 8:15 to Nowhere on.
Yeah.
I'll just show it to everybody. You want to just tell us a bit more about the bass?
Yeah. It's I paid £198 when it first came out for it, UK pounds, obviously.
Incredible.
And it's the same price for the dramatics, and you could sync them together. It's before MIDI, but the plug looks like a MIDI plug, but it's actually a sync. It's wired up differently. So, but they would synchronise together tempo-wise, but you couldn't change any musical notes like that. But
so you had to write it as a pattern from the top to the bottom of the song, didn't you?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and of course it has no backup memory system. So if the batteries fail, I mean, you could use a power supply as well, but if the batteries fail, or if you swap the batteries, you've only got so long before it loses everything. Yeah. So it's not like now where you can just store it on a hard drive.
So that's a piece of history right there, isn't it? That is actually there, and used on quite a few other VP tracks as well.
Fetish.
That's
the Roland bass line, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, let's just drop 8:15 to Nowhere. I think you all know this one, don't you? So there you go. Well, probably the greatest instrumental dance record ever made, if you don't mind me saying so, Mr. Moss.
Thank you. Well, it actually in 1989 it was a hit around Europe. It got like to number 2 in some countries, and it came out on a mini CD single. You know, the 3-inch disc or whatever they were. Right. And they're really rare. I think it only came out in Austria on the mini disc, but it came out on a 12-inch. Mm-hmm. And it was a hit there. So after we left Parlophone and disbanded, or whatever you want to call it, and we weren't aware of that until later. It's amazing what happens,
isn't it? Yeah. Well, in those days, records could have like a kind of a gestation period where they seep through the clubs and the radio, and eventually, it's like Kraftwerk's The Model. It was a B-side and became a hit 4 or 5 years later, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And in Belgium, they called it New Beat.
Right.
8:15 to Another, and it was classed as New Beat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it came out. I can play it again, Sam. Label in Belgium, it came out.
I remember that label. Actually, there was one question which did pop up in the chat I noticed, and it may fit right for this moment. What were Vicious Pink's musical influences, both you and Josie, really?
Well, we liked a lot of music. I mean, Kraftwerk and Yellow Magic Orchestra, into Devo, Bowie, loads. And when I DJ'd all this stuff like Fad Gadget and lots of stuff, Cabaret Voltaire, but we didn't want to sound like any of those, and because they already existed. That's what my thoughts on it. There's no point in emulating something else. You might as well. We wanted to be experimental, and we just did it for fun, and we didn't intend to have any. I mean, I couldn't even imagine I'm stood here with you when we did it then, because you just, I couldn't
imagine me being stood here with you. It's like playing your music.
I mean, it's just, it's so kind of weird, but it's great fun. That's what we did it for fun.
Fantastic, fun, love and dancing.
Fun, love and dancing, that's it.
That's what it was all about, cool. Yeah. Okay, so for anybody who may have joined us, welcome to the Vicious Pink Westview album celebration live stream in conjunction with and supported by our friends over at Minimal Wave and Veronica. Hey, Veronica, good to see you.
Bless up everybody. Here with us.
And thanks to everybody. I'm sorry we can't call out everybody's name in the chat and everything, but obviously this is a let's talk and play music kind of vibe. So, but all your comments have been noted, and any questions, we'll try and get around to them a little bit later on. We're hoping to be dialing Josie in about 5 or 6 minutes time, so with a bit of luck. But if you didn't actually see Josie's little message earlier on, let's just bring her in to say hello, shall we?
Hi everyone, I'm sorry I'm not in the studios tonight, but I am in the chat. I am dancing along with you, and it's so nice that you're all there.
Thank you, Josie. We hope to chat with you a bit later on. Okay, we're back to the kitchen table demos, I think, now, over on the demo side of it. And this track is called Why Me? A little personal thing there. I've been listening to this song over and over again, and I was sure to heck until I read the liner notes in the Westview album. The first line was, Why me, Josie? I spoke to Josie about this. Don't see. So I'm sorry, Josephine, but that's stuck in my head now. Every time I hear it, I'm hearing you say, "Why me, Josie?"
It still works.
It still works. I think you should change I should recall Veronica, recall all the albums and reprint. Yeah. So why me? Again, any quick background story about how this track?
It's a kitchen table again. I still have the table, by the way, and it's all kind of graffitied up with people carving their names in. And
it's the new album cover for the next release.
Maybe, yeah. And there's no swearing on it. No, that was one of the rules. No swearing.
No swearing.
Not in case children come round. We're reading bad language. But yeah, so roll and bass line again on this, and 606 and Juno 60. Yeah. And a couple of other synths. Yeah.
Fantastic. So this is the demo of Why Me. This is so catchy. If you want an earworm, this is it. Brilliant. So there we go. That's the demo of Why Me. We'll play the final version a little bit later on in the show, Brian. So it's been an incredible reception to the album. Brian, you and Josie must be over the moon about the love that's out there for you guys.
Yeah, it's great. We don't get many thumbs down. Which is nice. But we don't do all hate and all that kind of thing. We're
just love.
We're not about that. Yeah. Just love and dance and fun.
Excellent.
That's what it's about.
Good. It's so encouraging to see, and it must be great for Veronica and everybody at Minimal Wave to see how this is really taking off as well. And also, I think Minimal Wave have got some new VP T-shirts as well. Yeah,
they look really cool. We got one as a surprise each, Josie, when our records were sent over. And Veronica kindly put them in as a surprise, And a lovely note, Veronica. I really enjoyed reading the postcard and what you said. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, moving on with the music. Straight after this, we're going to be honoured with the actual presence of Josie from Vicious Pink. We're going to be calling her live from her home in the UK. And just asking a few questions, so hold tight for that. In the meantime, next track up is from the remastered album, not the demo, and it's My Man and Me. Again, another huge earworm, catchy vocal and song and melody. But what a great, memories on this one then.
Yeah, it's great fun making it. I managed to get a really deep voice going. It was overdubbing. Yeah.
Did you have any studio technology to enhance that, Brian? Were you enhanced?
No, I didn't enhance myself.
But we've got J&D in the studio with us. We'll bring that. Never mind you laughing in the background. You boys are coming up here soon.
Yeah, we haven't got canned applause in the background.
We've got real people.
I'll press a button and do some applause.
We'll turn the camera around to show these two.
Let's say some clapping. I'm pressing a button.
Clap. Look as if you know what you're doing.
Look.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, it's working.
Okay. So, My Man and Me.
Thank you very much.
Shall we give it a listen then, Brian? Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, there you go. So that is My Man and Me, and that's the final version, is it? That was not a demo.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Hold on a second. Let's get the cameras changed around a bit. There's so many buttons to press when you're doing this kind of thing. Okay. So I'm just going to pull up some. Can you just give us a few more memories, maybe on the production side of My Man and Me, while I just pull up the questions that Josie had?
Yeah, well, we started off that had roll and bass line originally, and we replaced it with Fairlight and samples. Not samples of somebody else's work, just sounds that we created. Yeah. On the Fairlight, it had an on-screen. You could actually alter the waveform on screen.
Right, cool.
You could draw it in with a light pen, so it's kind of incredible back then. But they cost a fortune, so we never afforded one.
Whose was it? Was it Tony?
It was Tony's, yeah. I think it cost. I think he started off at £25,000, and with the full things like £50,000, which is like a massive amount of money back then.
You could buy a house with that, couldn't
you? I think there's only 12 in the country, something like that. Okay. You get more than a house for that kind of money.
Okay, right. Well, I think we're ready to go. So, right. So I did promise you guys that we would bring Josie in from Vicious Pink, who's currently at home enjoying the live stream, but we're going to make her do some work now and answer some questions. So let me just see. Josie, can you hear us?
Hi, how are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm really good. I'm sorry. I'm not a typist. I'm trying to answer everyone's questions really fast.
You're supposed to be enjoying yourself, not typing.
I'm so sorry. It's so nice you're all there. I say hello to Rosie and Liam and Julie and Goss and everyone that's there. But if I miss you, it's only because I can't type so fast. But it's really nice that you're all here, and I'm having a lovely time down here. Thank you all for being there.
Well, I'm sure that everybody in the chat is really pleased that you've joined us like live, Josie. I mean, it was great to get the little video from you as well, but have you here live is a blessing. So thank you, Josie, and I'm sure there's
You're
loads
welcome.
of people are sending you lots of love from around the
And
world.
I'm sending them all my love.
Bless, that's fantastic. I can see from the chat that it's on fire at the moment. This is great. But listen, Josie, while I've got you here, we will be bringing you in a bit later on. You're not getting away with it that easy. But for the benefit of people who may be joining later. But I've just got a few questions, if it's okay to just fire them at you, if that's all right.
Make them easy.
Okay, then, right, here we go. Says he looking at his phone. So, Josephine from Vicious Pink.
Yeah.
What was your favourite gig or venue that you played live, Josie?
I think my favourite venue was actually the Hippodrome in London, you know, Pete Stringfellow's place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was in the 80s was a time when the clubs were really taking off everywhere. And at Stringfellows, it was just so diverse. It's when the gay clubs and the straight and all ages and all cultures kind of came together, and the sound was good in there, the lights were good in there. And I remember it had a stage from the basement. You used to rise up into the club from the basement. But it was always such a good fun atmosphere in there. So I think it was the Hippodrome.
Yeah, I do remember that stage. It came right from, it just rose up, didn't it?
It was crazy. You never knew when it was going to get to the top. It went on forever.
It's a good job
like
it didn't come up really
lift.
fast in case you'd have just shot up there like Madonna, you know. Like.
I think Brian used to wear roller skates as he came up, and sometimes he got up there and went straight into the crowd.
That is true, Brian.
Great.
Yeah. I actually broke my SH-101 when we did the show.
No.
I threw it up in the air and it landed on all the controls. Oh. And actually, I took it back, went back to the studio, and Frank's brother repaired it, and he soldered all the circuit boards back up, because the fans were saying, "Can we have it?" I'm like, "No."
You didn't break Josie or anything. She survived.
No. Josie survived.
Oh,
I'm still in one piece.
Thank goodness.
Have you cracked that champagne yet, Jos?
Oh yeah, I'm on the third bottle.
Well,
That's why I
yeah,
said to keep the questions easy.
I'd just like to say that Josie just have some help with that bottle, yeah. But,
yeah.
All right, Josie. Anyway, it's question number 2 before the champagne hits anymore. So, any particular more memorable or enjoyable studio recording or mixing sessions with this young man here?
I think one of my favourites was when we were in Eden Studios in London, and that was a time when we recorded 8:15 to Nowhere.
Yeah.
And I think we just sort of had a couple more things. Tony Mansfield and Brian had a couple more things to do with the track. And while they were doing that, I went out into Green Room and started watching TV. And on TV, there was a documentary about Jerry Lee Lewis. And I must have had a couple of bottles of champagne that night as well, because I got the great spontaneous idea
Brilliant.
of recording Great Balls of Fire. And I remember going to the studio and saying, how much longer are we booked in here? Because we're doing Great Balls of Fire. And they must have been drunk as well, because they went along with it. But I actually really liked that. That was fun.
And was it your idea to sort of blend 8:15 to go straight into Great Balls?
Yeah, it just sounded so good, didn't it? I mean,
It did.
you can't beat Jerry Lee Lewis's intro, so we just had to do our own.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of glide it into 8:15.
I mean,
think it worked.
You know, for me as well, if I can just interject with one kind of analysis of something purely professional, your vocal to me, Josie, was so unique. There was nothing else like it out there.
Oh, it's very kind of you. Thank you.
The emotion, the emphasis you would put in the intonation for me was incredible. So add that to the melodies and some random synth that this guy did. I don't know, banging on drums. But yours was great, Josie. Really good, really good.
Thank you. But I think that was because I probably wasn't really thinking about it in terms of, have I got a great voice, is this technical or whatever. I just went out to have a laugh.
But
so there were no nerves.
Yeah, every word, every sentence was just fired in with such energy and passion. So bravo, Josie, bravo.
That was Jerry Lee Lewis, I think.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add as well
is my inspiration that evening. That was like Jerry Lee Lewis.
The spirit of Jerry Lee.
Yeah, well,
absolutely
crazy, wasn't he?
Yeah,
but I'd like to add that the guitar part in that. Tony actually played the guitar and recorded it onto a 1/4-inch tape, and then scratched it in like you would scratch a record, but actually scratching tape, which that's why it sort of slides in. Yeah, that was actually scratching tape and just using the reels and like you would do a record, you know.
Yeah, production-wise and technique and everything, you guys were streets ahead. I mean, one of the things which people bandy the word techno around so much these days, but it was in fact you and Josie who put the word techno on the map with Sounds magazine in 1982. Do you remember that, Josie?
I do, yeah. The first time we saw it actually in print was when they were talking about Vicious Pink.
Yeah,
which is brilliant now when you think about it, isn't it?
There it is on screen. So 1982, techno psycho poppers. So, ladies and gentlemen,
what about that?
What about that? Vicious Pink
ladies
invented techno.
Yeah.
Round of applause.
Hey, welcome to our techno evening.
Yeah,
I'm pressing the canned applause button, Josie.
That was canned applause.
They're not really here.
Oh, was it?
That's J&D.
We also mentioned techno in My Private Tokyo as well, and we had a song, but I haven't found it yet, called Techno Psycho, that's what the title of that.
Right, there you go. Okay.
Headline was.
Okay, moving on then. Third question. So kind of related to the previous one then. So Josie, obviously we have two geeks here, this one as well as me. But, did you enjoy the technical side of the recording and mixing process and adding your input during these processes with Brian? Did you enjoy that side of it?
I really did, yeah, because that was our chance then to add that sort of Vicious Pink element to the tracks and make it ours. I know that we were using certain instruments and things that were very obviously Vicious Pink, but in the mix we could really put our stamp on it. Brilliant. Plus the vocals were over, so no more pressure on me. I could relax. Yeah,
and boss everybody about. You go, girl. Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, next one then. A synth pop vocalist, that's you by the way, Josie. Best friends with Lemmy from Motorhead. Tell us about that.
Well, Lemmy was the funniest bloke on the planet. I mean, he really was funny, and I think that's why we got on so well. And he was not only funny, he was very clever. So he was like the perfect combination for me. And it also helped that we weren't physically attracted to each other. So we could just enjoy each other's company. We used to write together. We used to go out to clubs together. We used to drink together. No, we had a wonderful time. And I have to say, I know the word cool is used a lot, but Lemmy was cool. Yeah. I mean, he'd walk in a room and he just had presence. Always. He was just a great guy. Yeah. And he really was funny, and that was it. That's why we just clicked, and we remained friends forever. He was a lifelong friend. That is wonderful when you have that kind of bond, isn't it? But I remember reading, I think it was in the Westview album sleeve notes. You were trying to get a 12-inch single to Lemmy. And you ended up literally hanging Brian out of a bus to pass him it as your tour buses passed. Is that true?
No, it was actually Rush.
Oh, was that Rush?
It was Rush, yeah.
That was Rush, yeah. Lemmy would never take a Vicious Pink record.
He didn't like our music. He wasn't keen on it. Not enough guitars in it.
Oh, I'm sorry for my mistake. But anyway, it's a good story. I'm just picturing Brian hanging out of a bus.
Lemmy would never take it.
Were you holding on to Brian's legs at the time, Josie? Good job you didn't drop him or anything there. All right, let's grab one more question, Josie, and then we'll let you get back to the champagne, but we will be bringing you back a bit later on, and thank you again for joining us live.
You're welcome.
So, now, the Leeds Warehouse has incredible memories for me personally. It was where my spiritual beginnings began in this industry.
Yeah, it was a fabulous club.
Incredible club. And quite a few people in the chat have good memories of the Leeds Warehouse, but for you...
Oh, great. Hello to everyone from Leeds Warehouse.
Everybody, say hello.
Please let me know your name if you're there so I can say hello to you.
So, Josie, with your knowledge of that, I mean, I remember the club with the different music nights, but what was your perspective, Josie, of a great night out? The DJs, the music styles, the crowd, the atmosphere, etc. What made a great night at the Warehouse for you, Josie? It
was when the live bands were playing. They had some great live bands there. They had Fad Gadget, Killing Joke, League of Gentlemen, Divine. Everybody played there. I liked the live bands. And of course, we played there as backing vocalists for Soft Cell and then in our own right as Vicious Pink.
That's right.
So it was the live performances for me at the Warehouse.
Yeah, and of course, your live performance, the entire audio for the live performance of Vicious Pink at the Warehouse, including Josie attacking various things with a a chainsaw or whatever she was using at the time. That's available on Bandcamp, isn't it, Brian?
Well, there you go.
It is, yeah.
And there you go.
It was me that did the attacking. Josie
Oh,
was doing. She was singing.
Oh, she was singing
She was
and
calling
dancing.
me a maniac, basically.
Oh, right. No, is that where you said, "Oh, we're really nice people" at the end of it? No, you're not maniacs.
Yeah, because
Josie, you were going hell for
acting.
leather on Maniac, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I like that one.
I do as well.
It seems to be that's one of my favourites.
Yeah, definitely. Cool, fantastic. Well, listen, Josie, I'm next track up is going to be off the from the demo side of the world. Let's say no more about it for the moment, but I'm going to play a track called "Ask Me to Stay." This is the 12-inch demo from the brand new Westview album.
Oh, I better get downstairs then.
Better
quick.
get dancing. Better get dancing.
I'm going to dance. This is my favourite.
So everybody in the chat, please do say thank you and send Josie a big
You
hug
are
and a
welcome.
kiss.
Thank you, everyone, for being there. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can, but remember, I'm not a typist.
Oh.
All right, and I'm also dancing to the next track.
Fantastic. Well, Josie,
take it slowly. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hello,
Josie.
everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Thank you, Josie. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, Jos.
Wow, that's a journey and a half of different vibes. That's incredible. So, Ask Me to Stay. I mean,
Pitch wheel there.
incredible.
That was actually Prophet 5.
Was it?
Yeah.
It goes very dark, doesn't it? It goes from light, breezy pop to very darkness.
well,
I mean, that's a cool thing
That's
to
what
play.
relationships can be like.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, okay. Well, let's not go too deep on that one.
Okay.
Right, fantastic. So that was Ask Me to Stay from the Westview album, Minimal Wave Records, double album of rarities and demos and remasters. So, Brian, first of all, everybody, thank you for, it looks like we've got some great numbers in the chat. All of the questions that you guys have asked have all been logged by our moderators. And what we'll try and do is like smash through those towards the end of the live stream. I think we're going to go on for quite a bit, but I'm sure that won't be a problem for you guys. But we'll try and get some of the key questions in there as well, and we've got a competition giveaway to do as well.
Yeah.
So, Brian, I just want to ask a couple of quick questions for you, to you as well.
Yeah,
actually,
can I just say a happy birthday to my mate Liam for Monday. I know you're out there listening with your mum, but yeah, have fun. We'll see you soon.
Happy birthday, Liam.
Yeah.
And he's listening
Top
with his
man.
mum. Is
Yeah,
he top
man.
dude?
Yeah,
Is he?
yeah, top dude.
Good stuff. That's great. Happy birthday, Liam. So, Brian, quick question then for you, or a couple. What came first for you, a love of synths and keyboards, or DJing, Brian?
I think, well, I was always DJing in my bedroom to my friends and stuff like like you do.
Yeah.
And when I finally did start DJing, it was at the Adelphi in Leeds. It's a small pub and there's a room upstairs.
Yeah.
And but I wanted synths. I wanted, they were so quite expensive actually. But yeah, so as soon as I got my hands on them, that was it. I was
Hooked.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
definitely hooked. But I mean, the Adelphi was like a classic place in Leeds because at the time there weren't any place where you could go and listen to the kind of music I wanted to play, and it was, the DJs would be doing like what I've just done, a happy birthday thing, and this song's for so and so or whatever, and I didn't do that. I didn't know, there was no speaking apart from saying last orders at the bar because the bar was downstairs and they couldn't hear for the racket.
Yeah.
But so I used to play all early electronic stuff, Kraftwerk, Cabaret Voltaire, Ultravox, all early John Fox, loads of stuff, and Bowie and Roxy and
all that kind of stuff.
yeah, and it's great. And actually, we did an interview with the Evening Post, and Duncan, the guy who did the interview, said I saw Adele there in the Adelphi when she first starting out, So that's the kind of place, this little
Adele
pub,
in the
and it's kind of a proper drinkers pub, like a sort of after work.
So this would have been your favourite venue then? That's kind of
that's first, kind of the favourite one that I DJ'd out because it was the first one.
Yeah.
And I had a really rubbish. I lent some money off my dad for some really crappy Gerard decks and some lights, just 6 flashing lights, and some speakers and amp and what have you. But it went down a storm, it's 50 pence in, and they have reunion nights every now and again. I went to one earlier this year, and back in the last year, sorry. And it was £5 in, and I didn't see the guy in the door. I didn't recognise him because he's a lot older. He wasn't on the door, his daughter was on the door, and it cost us £5, didn't it, D? You know, we paid £5. I said, that's 10 times more than it cost when I was doing it, and I never
money
paid
than
in.
you got for DJing.
Yeah, paying in. What's all that about?
Oh dear. All right. So, Brian, another question for you. What was the spark that led you to form a band, i.e. Vicious Pink? And, did you always envisage it as a duo, you and Josie, or did you envisage a band scenario, or was it always just you and Josie?
We envisaged it as a duo, but when we played, at the early gigs, it was just me and Josie, and then obviously for the bigger ones, that's when Tony Mansell was on stage, and Clive Gates and John Reid, and also Graham Robinson on drums, and so we had a full band then, and the Fairlight was on stage as well, so he was a Fairlight live. When we played in New York, we had to hire one.
Hire a
Fairlight, and a Juno 60. We hired one. So you can take it on the plane. It's like no.
You didn't throw it on the floor like you did the one.
No, I didn't do that.
That's all right.
But the backup on the Juno 60 was just you saved it onto tape, your sounds.
Yeah.
And so I just took the cassette and then dumped it into loaded it into the Juno 60 what we'd hired.
Yeah.
But there's a big issue with the format of the discs for Fairlight, with the American one and the UK one.
The difference.
And there's
between
really,
the two.
it was a nightmare. Tony pulling his hair out.
Incredible.
and there was talk on the internet that we turned up late, but we didn't turn up late. We were doing radio interviews and stuff, and Tony's like with the other technicians trying to get this Fairlight to read the discs from the UK one.
So really the full band, Tony and the percussion and drum and everything, that was really for the big gigs, really. But in essence, it was always you and Josie as the core element.
And we'd have one crew guy, and my car manager, he drove the tour bus, So
cool.
Our tour Winnebago, I should say.
Cool, that's fantastic. All right, let's take another track, shall we? So this is from the remastered side of the Westview album. Next track up is called Blue, World of Blue. Now this is quite interesting because this is almost like a tribute, a more mellow tribute to Can't You See? Am I interpreting that right?
Yeah, it's basically an instrumental mix of blue love mix. So it's a totally different recording than Can't You See, but it's got the ingredients and notation and so on. But it's a totally different recording than the original.
Oh, it's a totally new recording.
And also the Can't You See was the 12-inch version is a different recording than the 7-inch. We didn't make one out of the other, if you like.
Oh, so not an edit, it's a completely
they're completely different recordings.
Well, this is quite beautiful. Really love it. Blue. Well, there you go. From the Westview album from Vicious Pink on Minimal Wave Music, that is Blue, World of Blue. Very, very beautiful track. Brian, we've been going through the Westview album and we will be continuing to play more tracks, but you've brought some incredible surprises. I'm not going to elaborate anymore. I'd just love you to tell us about what we have next, please.
Yeah, this is it's a surprise for everyone, and for Veronica, there's a couple of tracks that we've unearthed that you haven't heard. Well, no one's heard them. You've Paul and Jase and Dee have heard them, and Josie's heard them, but a little surprise.
Wow.
Well, two.
So this is really a world's first exclusive then. This is a track called Not Your Kind of Girl, 1983. World's first play, everybody. Check this out. Well, there you go. The overwhelming response is that track has to be released, Brian. So are we going to see a Minimal Wave release volume 2 for Vicious Pink?
Well, you never know. I mean, there's another one to play yet as well.
Oh, you've got another one?
Surprises. We like surprises.
Surprises. Too many surprises for one go. Okay. Now, the next track that we're going to play is back onto the Westview album from the remastered versions. Probably, well, without a doubt, the biggest track that Vicious Pink ever did. Can't You See? Memories from that, just give us some vibes on Can't You See, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, it went down a storm at the dance floor, it definitely did, and it crossed over the Atlantic, and it kind of spread, but yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it went a bit over the mainstream media, radio. It went over their heads, but it didn't matter because the clubs were our internet at the time. There's no internet, of course, but the clubs were basically our place to advertise ourselves, if you like.
Yeah.
And it used to be nice. I mean, when we went to play in New York, we went into Danceteria and they were mixing Can't You See into the theme tune of the Old Grey Whistle Test. I mean, a lot of people probably don't know that, but yeah, so the harmonica part in the Old Grey Whistle Test is mixing, and we walked into Danceteria to that, and it's like, wow. Amazing.
These DJs will mix with your records, eh? What they like.
Yeah, what they do, mess about.
And that whole sort of, the kind of way that you sampled Josie's vocals to create that new hook, I mean, that must have been quite a revelation for you in the studio at the time.
I had the idea to sample the vocals from the tape, so just basically, and then map them out on the keyboard, on the Fairlight keyboard, and then, play a rhythm. Yeah. And that's how it came about.
Can't you
broke up.
You went. Yeah. That's it. So that's how that came about.
That's how it came about, and it's kind of a first as far as I'm aware. But
So,
but that's what happens when you get your hands on new equipment.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring, and you just come up with ideas,
You do, yeah. So not only did you invent the word techno or techno, you were one of the first bands ever to do to do sampling in the studio.
Well, a rhythmical vocal.
A rhythmical vocal.
And then afterwards it got done to death a little bit, but
yeah, okay.
But anyway.
Okay, well let's hear it. And the interesting thing that you said is that you didn't record a 12-inch or a radio version and then make a 12-inch out. You specifically recorded a radio version and then a 12-inch version and then done a
basically a 12-inch and a 7-inch.
Yeah. Different
versions. Completely different versions. And there was a version, a 12-inch version that's all in English as well.
Yeah.
And so people did assume that we'd made the 12-inch from the 7-inch, but that's not the case,
2, 3, 4, 5. In fact, if I just change the camera around for a second, this is the Cherry Red Records, was it?
Yeah.
So this is the CD that came out, I think, 2012, 14?
Yeah, and then it got reissued again, I think, in 2018, and it's been reissued again.
And on that, there are five versions of Can't You See?
Yeah,
which just shows. I mean, it's just groundbreaking. Anyway, let's listen to the short and sweet version of that masterpiece, then, shall we, Brian?
Yeah, let's do it.
Timeless classic, of course. Yes, there you go. Can't you see? Can't you see, as Gary Crowley said on TV once, I think. We've got lots more to go before we close proceedings. Stay with us. We are not over by any stretch of the imagination. We've got some great stuff upcoming. But we did discuss exclusives, and goodness me, you've just told me that there are 2 exclusives. We have another one?
Yeah, this other one is from the same session as the other surprise.
Right.
It's called So You Want to Love Me.
Okay, and Veronica from Minimal Wave hasn't heard this. The audience has never heard this either.
It's a little surprise for everyone.
Goodness me. You are spoiling
Veronica.
us.
Yay!
Give it up, yeah. I want to give a shout as well to, is it Post Punk Monk? He's in the chat, I think.
Yeah. Big shout out to Post Punk Monk. And a shout out to my family who'll be listening. Up that north of England.
Up north, that's where we are still.
Up to north of England.
Up to north. Fantastic. All right. Big up to everybody in the chat. Thanks for all the questions. We will hopefully get around to as many of those as we can a little bit later. In the meantime, brand new, exclusive, So You Want to Love Me. Let's do it. Let's hear this. So there you go, world exclusive, So You Want Me to Love You. Okay, let's go back onto this screen then, shall we? So, back to the Westview album. Brian, actually, a couple more quick questions if I can. Let me just grab my little thing here. So, what was the usual sort of songwriting process between you and Josie, you know, did Josie come in with a lyric? Did you create some music or a rhythm or some melody and say, hey, Josie, what do you think? I mean, what was the songwriting process between you?
It was a bit of both. You know, we never had like a format how to do it. He's come up with an idea, or I'd come up with some music. And Josie as well would be playing you know, she'd get on the keyboards as well, you know, so quite often Josie would come up with a melody or whatever, you know. So yeah, she joined in like that as well. So it wasn't just about singing, it's about, you know, if you can do that, do it.
Yeah.
Why not, you know?
Total democracy there.
Exactly. Well, everything was done equally, you know. We didn't, you know,
fantastic.
Share and share alike, as we say in Yorkshire.
Absolutely. Right, I always felt that Vicious Pink's drums, synth lines, melodies, and of course Josie's fab vocals were not only unique, but like they were beamed from the future. And today, you know, obviously still sound fresh to audiences. You know, why do you think I, and probably many others in the chat, feel that, you know, Vicious Pink's music was so futuristic and ahead of its time? Why was that? Don't be modest.
Well, first of all, we never used factory presets on synths. We didn't do that. I mean, we never used a DX7, for example, and I never owned one. Although they are quite cool, but, you know, it kind of date stamps it. DX7 will date stamp music. Yeah. And when we were sampling things, we'd sample all kinds of weird stuff, like car parts and for percussion, and, you know, there was a sampling like Black Hole would just be sucked in, and then we'd change the sound, or use it in a lower register, like not obviously in the, say if we sample at middle C and play it lower down, so you create sounds that you've never heard before because it didn't exist. Yeah, you know, so and also a conscious thing for you. Yeah, you wanted it always to be original. Yeah, and always would make my own sounds, say on the Juno or whatever, and. You know, save my own sounds. I didn't use factory presets because it's like, you know, like I say, it date stamps everything. And the thing with the DX7, because it was FM synthesis, a lot of people couldn't get their heads around it, so they didn't delve into trying to edit the sounds. Yeah. And I mean, now it's much simpler. You can do it. You can get soft synths that are using FM, but back then they kind of just go for that sound, go for that sound. The easy. Kind of. Well, then it starts all sounding samey. Yeah, incredible. I mean, still to this day, everything sounds fresh. So, I mean, if you could go back in time, I mean, I would imagine you've either sold or lost or damaged or they've just died. If you could just build your dream studio from everything you used to own now, what would be in it? Very quick list. Yeah, I sold my Korg MS-20. Which is one of the ones, Patch Bay, you know. That's right. Yeah, and I sold that because at the time we didn't have much money, and if you wanted to buy something else, you had to sell something. You had to get something that you thought was better. Yeah. And so I regret selling that. And I had a Moog Prodigy, one of my first synths as well, and that went. The part exchange for me Juno 60, because like a Juno 60 is like £1,250 then. And that was a lot of money back then. Yes, indeed. Pounds, I should say. People don't know what quids are in other countries. A heck of a lot of money. Yeah. And drum machines, what would you have back now? I sold my 606, but I've still got a 303 and I've still got a Juno 60. Yeah. And I've got a Korg Mono Poly, which I later acquired, but I've got that, and I've got it working nicely. You know, it only had 3 or 4 keys working, but I've renovated that. Yeah. So you've still got quite a few things. Yeah, and I've got my Prophet 2000 sampler. Fantastic. Which was we got just a sort of the back end of when we left Parlophone. Yeah. Brilliant. Excellent. So I'd like an SSL desk. Yeah, let's do a crowdfunding. Yeah, no, it's all right. You lads got a few pounds. I'll save up and wait for Santa to come. Okay, let's try the next track then. So. We heard the demo of this earlier on. Incredible track. This is the Why Me Josie track. You know, this is the original version, the final version of Why Me. Check it out.